The Buffalo Bills canceled practice today, and their overall travel arrangements for the next couple of days is absolutely Yo ho ho, Bills Mafia. Welcome to yet another edition of the Mafia Report. As always, your host, Dan Mitchell. Say that you're new here. I am an avid member of the Bills Mafia, and I regularly put out videos about the Buffalo Bills and the NFL as a whole. So if that is your cup of tea, I highly recommend subscribing to this channel. And as always, smashing the ever-living out of that like button. Welcome to another episode, guys. I would say that if a messy situation did not already reach its peak, we have exceeded expectations. Due to the blizzard that is absolutely going on in Buffalo, New York right now, the Buffalo Bills have canceled practice, and then, as many fans would have expected from our organization, we thought that we would just stay in Detroit, the entire time, since we have a game lined up on Thanksgiving, literally 4 days after Sunday. But the Buffalo Bills had other plans. We're going to dive into the details of that, what the media is saying, my own personal thoughts on this. But before I do just want to give a giant announcement. The AFC East Roundtable is coming to Buffalo, New York for our very first in-person event. It is called Battle for the East. Saturday night, right before the Buffalo Bills and Miami game, myself and TD Finstalk, Richie, and Master at Work are going to be at Townhouse in Hamburg, an exclusive party for Buffalo Bills fans and Miami Dolphins fans. And so there's going to be a giant display of food, there's going to be giveaways, there's going to be contests, and really an opportunity just to meet all four of us. We love you guys and your support that you've been showing us for the past couple of years, and we wanted to give you an opportunity to hang with the boys. Like I said, starting at 7 p.m. on Saturday at Townhouse in Hamburg. Link is in the description for any sort of ticket information. Hey, you. Yeah, that's right, you. The guy that's sitting on the shitter right now, staring down at his phone with his double chin. Why haven't you hit the like button yet, dog? I asked you nicely. Literally 3 seconds ago. You're sitting there, it's like, oh, content, this dude. Hit that like button. Hit that like button. First story that dropped a bit earlier this morning is that the Buffalo Bills canceled their practice entirely. If you're located in Buffalo, then you know that we absolutely got covered in snow last night. From reports that I have been reading, from friends that are still up in the area, like y'all got caked with 18 inches of snow last night. And while that is affecting travel for locals, that is hands down affecting travel for the Buffalo Bills players. So, according to Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott, today they are just going to be having virtual meetings, and they are going to attempt to fly out tomorrow. I wouldn't be surprised if I need to drop a video about their takeoff difficulties tomorrow, but this is just a giant cluster. However, I'm seeing a lot of people on social media, like they're freaking out. They're like, oh no, looks like the Bills are going to have to miss out on practice. This is going to put them at a disadvantage. One thing I always like throwing out there is that the last practice of the week prior to the game is almost always a walkthrough, right? There's not a lot of reps. There's no pads. It's simply just a meeting. So what the Buffalo Bills are going to do is they're just essentially going to have a very normal practice, which occurs on the last one before a game, only it's just going to be through Zoom. So I'm really not seeing this affect the Buffalo Bills in any way or any stretch of the imagination. And according to reports, and this actually makes a lot of sense, and so it might even be an added benefit because apparently a bug has been going around the locker room. We saw that yesterday in my video where we highlighted the illness that has been going around where a couple of people did not practice due to it. So I think that this might be for the best. I mean, we all remember when Stephon Diggs broke down in his Lamborghini during the heat of winter. That was an oxymoron. And so just a couple of years ago, the fine people of Buffalo ended up pushing his Lambo out of that snowbank, but let's be honest with ourselves, vast majority of our team is from South Florida, and I do not think that they have a fighting chance of being able to get to the stadium on time today. So this practice isn't necessarily something that I'm freaking out about entirely. And from what I see, snow is going to continue to fall throughout the rest of the weekend, should stop prior to the game on Sunday. but due to these infrastructure issues within the city of Buffalo and Orchard Park, just having a game here was not feasible, and there you have it. We're now in Detroit. Which makes it an incredible segue, because this is something that actually upset me. Yesterday, when we figured out that the Buffalo Bills were going to Detroit, I was actually one of the few that was happy about this situation. Not because of the difference in conditions, not because I know that Josh Allen's an absolute god in a dome, but was the travel associated with it. I was entirely expecting the Buffalo Bills just to stay in Detroit all the way up until after the Thanksgiving game. And you think about it, it makes sense, right? Because you're already at a disadvantage when you have, 3 games to prepare for another NFL squad, which is going to happen. But now we get to take away the travel, right? Now, I do understand that a flight from Buffalo to Detroit is not necessarily horrendous. There's a lot worse flights out there, trust me. But that is just adding to the pot that can give us a bit more of an advantage with that little time to prepare. And Detroit has a practice facility. I'm sure that they would have let us use it on and off outside of when Detroit was practicing. And then things could have been great. However, not the case. Brandon Beane came out, and then he said that literally after the game on Sunday, they're going to fly back to Buffalo, and then they're going to go back on Wednesday, which I think is absolutely backwards. I mean, I suppose that I could see some sort of concern that maybe Beane and maybe the coaching staff and front office is concerned that there will be spies within the facility that Detroit provides, right? It's not completely outlandish. Look at the New England Patriots, for example. But I feel like risking that is worth giving your players a slight advantage, at least a little bit, because we're already at a disadvantage of some additional rest and not having to worry about packing, flying, going through airport security, etc. I'm sure that security for them is a breeze, but that's besides the fact. Completely dumbfounded that we are not staying in Detroit. However, I am very confident that our team is going to take care of business on both games, and I feel like everything will be okay, but I'm still just scratching my head of the mindset and the decision that was made to go back to Buffalo. I think that it's just backwards, frankly. So yeah, Dumb Mafia, that's going to do it for today's episode. If you haven't already checked out my Bills and Browns preview video, you can find that link right within the description. I go in detail based off of their run game. I do know that I filmed it right before I knew that we were going to Detroit, but the analysis is the exact same thing. My expectations have not changed whatsoever. So go check that out in case you want an in-depth analysis on that game. Thank you so much for tuning in. Once again, if it is your first time, make sure you subscribe to this channel. I put out videos about the Bills in the NFL all the damn time. Smash that like button. Free way to support your boy. And before I let you go, you better always remember, let's go Buffalo.